Welcome, everybody. The next topic that we're going to cover is imperial presidents' foreign policy. We've talked about in the last screencast what has fueled American imperialism, but now let's talk about the specific foreign policies that each of these three major presidents have: Roosevelt, Taft, and Woodrow Wilson. First off, Teddy Roosevelt, he's going to build on the open door notes. He's going to gain a lot of notoriety for being part of the Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War, kind of resigning his position as Assistant Secretary to the Navy, and he's going to propel himself to the vice presidency. He is kind of a radical, so the Republican Party itself is going to try to hide him as vice president. However, once William McKinley is assassinated in 1901, Teddy Roosevelt is going to take over and kind of blow the doors off the White House. So when he mediates the peace agreement between the Russians and the Japanese, he's going to achieve the Nobel Peace Prize for this. He is going to build on the Monroe Doctrine with his Roosevelt corollary, and building on the proverb, speak softly and carry a big stick, meaning that we are going to not be of a lot of words, but we're all going to back up our actions with military force. And anything that is going to threaten our economic interests, we will go at you with our military. Here are a couple pictures for Roosevelt and his speak softly and carry a big stick. Here you can see the gun as depicting the Monroe Doctrine, and you see the Republic of Santo Domingo there, and then Roosevelt has that huge Monroe Doctrine gun pointed at the face of Europe. So basically what he's saying is, you're not going to encroach here on the Caribbean because we will force you out. Here's another picture right here. You can see you have Roosevelt there with his big stick, also known as big stick diplomacy. And you can see his debt collection and his great white fleet encircling the Caribbean there. One of Teddy Roosevelt's greatest accomplishments, or start of a greatest accomplishment, is the building of the Panama Canal, starting in 1904. We're starting to see, after the Spanish-American War, the need for a two-ocean navy. We have the interest in the Pacific, and we have their interest in the Caribbean, and there's no easy way to get across to protect both of them. So we're going to need to develop two separate ones, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to feel the need for a canal that would cut across Central America. That would make it easier to have one navy that would be able to protect both sides, the Pacific and the Caribbean. So what we're going to do is support the Panamanians in their independence from Colombia. And that's going to play a huge role in the achieving of this area of the Panama Canal. We are initially not going to have the rights to it. It's going to be a French business that's going to have the rights to building the Panama Canal. However, it is such a treacherous and horrible conditions throughout this canal area that the French are going to end up selling it to us for $40 million. The conditions are just completely horrible, very swampy conditions, and disease is rampant. Malaria and yellow fever are going to kill more men than what were killed in the Spanish-American War. To complete it, it's going to cost us $400 million, but it's going to cut that time down significantly from getting from the Caribbean to the Pacific Ocean. You can see here in this picture where exactly it cuts across there in Panama. William Taft's foreign policy is known as dollar diplomacy, and when you think about dollar diplomacy, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Hopefully it's money. What he's going to do and what he's going to gain notoriety from is loaning money to Central American countries to pay its debt. And in this particular instance, we're talking about Nicaragua. Nicaragua is virtually broke at this point. So American businessmen are going to loan money to the Nicaraguan government. In return, these bankers are going to gain control of the railroads and the national banking system in order to get their money paid back to them. What is going to kind of set a precedent for at this point under Taft is a new policy in which the government is going to use the military in order to guarantee the loans made by those U.S. businessmen and guarantee those paying back of the loans. This is also going to be used to justify keeping Europeans out of the Caribbean. If the Central American countries are not going to get money from the United States, they're going to get money from somebody else, and more than likely a European country, which would extend the influence of that European country back into the Caribbean, which is exactly what we don't want at this point. And the last president we're talking about is Woodrow Wilson and his foreign policy of missionary diplomacy. It's also known as moral diplomacy. And what he believes is we have a moral responsibility to deny an oppressive government, an undemocratic government, or hostile governments that are not in favor of American interests. And what he's going to do is pressure these countries in the Western Hemisphere to become democratic. However, if you are an authoritarian leader but favorable to the United States, he would still accept you at this point. Prior to Woodrow Wilson, the United States had a policy of just accepting any government and accepting their legitimacy no matter what. At this point, Woodrow Wilson is going to say, no, you have to be in favor of the United States or be some sort of democracy in order for us to recognize you as legitimate. He's going to be tested by Mexico in 1914. Wilson is going to refuse the new government of Huerta, and at this point, we're going to come very, very close to war. Now, again, also 1914 is the beginning of World War I, so there's a lot of stuff on a world scale that's going to be going on here. And the last thing that we want to do is get into a war with Mexico at this point. Without the recognition from the United States, Huerta's regime is soon going to collapse, and Wilson would then recognize the new leader, Carranza, and this is going to force the legitimacy of the new Mexican government. There's been some turmoil in Mexico from about 1911 to 1914 here, which you can read in the last part of the textbook there. So that's all I really have for today. So hopefully this will help you filling in that imperial president's matrix, also kind of give you a better understanding of these guys' foreign policy. So if you have any questions, let me know, shoot me an email, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.